As another week of parties begins today, students have questions about what to do if they are stopped by the police, especially since at least 38 students have been cited for underage drinking and open containers since the school year started. Joining us live to discuss students' rights is Professor Steve Friedland. He specializes in constitutional and criminal law, among other things. Elon Law Professor Steve Friedland, thank you so much for joining us.
So I want to start by asking, when a student is stopped by the police, what are their rights as students?
So, you've asked me.
We're having some technical difficulties with that, Elon Law Professor, and we will figure that out for you shortly. So my question to you, Professor Freeland, is when students are stopped by the police, what are their rights as a student?
Well, that's a very good question. And the first thing I would say is this is about the Constitution. The Fourth Amendment to the Constitution says there shall be no unreasonable stops, searches, or seizures, and really focusing on searches and seizures. But that includes stops because that is a kind of seizure. The Fifth Amendment talks about the privilege against self-incrimination, so that involves statements. So our Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, limit what the power of government can do. And when I say government, we have two governments in this country, federal and state. So when you hear woo, 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 woo behind you, that's the police. And can they lawfully pull you over? Yes, if they have reasonable suspicion to believe that a traffic infraction has occurred. So if you don't put your turn signal on, or don't have your lights on at night, or have changed lanes in a swerving manner, they can stop us. And they can't do it, though, just on a hunch. When they stop us, they're allowed to ask for our identification, and if they need to, and our driver's license, I should say, and insurance. So when they stop you, my first suggestion is keep your hands up on the wheel where they can see it. And if you have to reach in your glove compartment, tell them, I'm reaching into my glove compartment because that is where I keep my registration, because they might say license and registration, please. And I'm reaching into my pocket to get my license. Let them know what you're doing. And again, keeping your hands visible, especially at night. Can they ask you to get out of your car? And the answer is yes. Under the Constitution, there's been a Supreme Court case that says for their safety, they can ask you to get out of the car, including other members of the car. Now, can they search us when they ask us to get out of the car? And the general answer actually is no. The answer is no, unless they have reasonable suspicion to believe that we are armed and dangerous. That's the only reason they can do what they call a stop and frisk. That's based on a case called Terry versus Ohio. Now, what a lot of people always wonder is, can they now search the car? If generally the answer is no. And if they ask you to search the car, we all have a constitutional right to say no. What percentage of people actually say no? 20 to 30%. Most people will say yes, but you have a constitutional right to say no. And if it's a traffic stop, they can only keep us there.
I see.
For how long a traffic stop should occur, which is around 20 minutes.
Gotcha.
They can't hold us further.
Gotcha. And now these rules that you're explaining for traffic stops, does this also apply for things like underage drinking or open container laws, which we have seen an extra push in by law enforcement in these previous weeks at Elon? What do when police are stopping students for underage drinking and open container, what are their rights in those situations?
So again, that's a good question. The police can stop us when we're walking or for other reasons if, again, they have reasonable suspicion that crime is underfoot. So this can include underage drinking, it can include weapons, it can include drugs. Interestingly, people think marijuana is legal in places like Colorado and Oregon and Washington and other places. And the answer is actually no. It's legal in the state level, but not on the federal level. Well, when it's a law that is enforced, like underage drinking, the police have a right to enforce that law. Now, do they have a right to go into our houses to search for underage drinking? No, unless they are invited in, or again, they have probable cause to believe that there's either a fleeing felon or imminent destruction of evidence.
Well,
So if
thank you
they
so
see
much.
someone and they think it's underage drinking, as long as they have that reasonable suspicion, they can stop, ask questions, and again, likely ask for an identification.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Friedland. That is all very helpful information.